Gents, talking about a fun one. It's going to be a big weekend up and down the Premier League table. Let's now rattle through the games coming up. Match week 29, preview it, give our predictions for the games. Andy, coming to you, the title race. 2 games, obviously. Man City against Liverpool and an Arsenal against Leeds. Those are the games that matter at the top of the table. But City against Liverpool, we mentioned it earlier on PST earlier this week that this feels like City can just grind out wins now, but Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, they go all out attack against City and show they have nothing to lose, even though they have a lot to gain in the top 4 race. That could be the best route for them to grab something against City like they did earlier this season. So, as always, when Guardiola and Klopp square off, a great tactical battle.
Yeah, this will be a very, very quick and harsh reintroduction back into club play and the Premier League, I think, for City, and a real challenge to deal with what we kind of think, given the way that Liverpool have played against them specifically this season and years past, will be an aggressive style. It'll be a lot of the high pressing and how City are able to deal with that, especially early on in the game, because we saw, when Liverpool just completely overwhelmed Manchester United, it wasn't until they really started to push the press that things got out of control. And so that's still in there for Liverpool. And so that's still a danger. And with City just not ignoring the Premier League title race, but clearly focusing, prioritizing, I guess we should say, the Champions League this season. It just feels like there is an opportunity for Liverpool to cause an upset, but I think City will just get through it in the end, and probably a late winner for a 2-1 win.
That seems fair. And Nick, Arsenal leads. Kind of predicting chaos for this one, right? Both teams obviously need the points for very different reasons, and both teams have players in fine form going forward.
Yeah, excited to watch Saka. He's just been so much fun. You've mentioned Odegaard quite a bit. I think he may be the team's quote-unquote MVP if we were going down that route. There's just too much to like for Arsenal at home in this situation. We'll see if Leeds can stymie them. I don't think that's the case, and I think they'll have to go forward without Tyler Adams. I think they're going to have to try, and they'll probably be playing from behind, let me put it that way, and I have predicted a 5-2 game, famously, to be an accurate 0-0, right? But
I hope it's a 5-2, mate. That'll be brilliant. And whoever's writing the recap on the site, good luck with that. A top 4 hunt. Newcastle against Manchester United. Everton against Spurs, which is intriguing. Antonio Conte left Spurs after he parted company with Tottenham, finally, after the outburst at Southampton. Brighton against Brentford, which, again, almost a winner takes all battle there. That's going to be a good one. And Chelsea against Aston Villa. Chelsea, again, on the outskirts there, potentially, if they have a great finish to the season, they could be in the top 4 picture, but probably not. But Nick, Newcastle, Man United, massive game at St. James's Park. We talked about it on PST this week as well, in terms of what this could mean for the rest of the season. What's your prediction for that game? How do these 2 teams match up?
Yeah, again, the Casemiro absence is number 1, but 1A is the rivalry, the history of this fixture, and the fact that I think St. James's Park is going to be electric. And I do not think Newcastle, as you maybe saw earlier in the project, they would have some games where maybe it's a little slow out of the gate, a little tentative. They have that 0-0 draw at Old Trafford in their back pocket. I actually think this game could go in any direction except blowout. It's going to be close, but I fancy Newcastle to come out of it with a win.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will fancy that as well, given some of those big absentees for Manchester United. So maybe a good time to play them in this top 4 race. Everton, Spurs. Andy, your beloved Spurs, once again, turmoil. Conte's gone. But Harry Kane keeps scoring. Obviously became England's all-time leading goal scorer during the international break to add to his Spurs all-time leading goal scorer record. So he's the main man. Can they get in the service? Defensively, can they be solid enough? What are your predictions for Everton Spurs? Because this doesn't just have a whiff of an upset around it. This is a full-on stench from Sean Dyche's side.
Yep, and I think Spurs play into their hands a lot as well by being so conservative in possession and the way that they go forward. They don't really go forward, and I think that's what you have to do against this Everton team. Is we know they're going to sit in super deep under Sean Dyche, and they're going to try and soak up pressure and hit on the counterattack. And if you don't put them under real pressure and make them defend running back towards their own goal, then they get real comfortable. And we've seen what they can do against a team like Arsenal a few weeks ago, where they can steal a 1-0 victory. And so I hope, the hope is that Christian Stellini now out from under the rule of Antonio Conte as the main manager, and he is the he is the interim now, that he has a bit more something to his style and wants this team to be a little bit more aggressive and free flowing in the way that they play. Because if you look at the talent and the way that they play, and you look at the talent and the results that they've gotten this season, there's a lot that just doesn't match up with one another. And so it's just about finding that balance in this one. And I guess you have to be hopeful at this time of the season. So you'll say that Spurs will grind out a 1-0 victory over Everton, but I believe it with 50% of my being. That's it.
They do have a decent schedule to end the season, Spurs, so all hope is not lost, Andy. When we look at hope for Brighton and Brentford, nobody thought they'd be in the positions they are in the table right now, 7th and 8th heading into the weekend, which is incredible, and within touching distance of this top 4 battle. So both of these teams need a win. I think this could be pretty much the most intriguing game from a tactical perspective, probably from a neutral's perspective, because with some of the attacking players on show and both teams just going almost all out to, I wouldn't say knock the other team out of contention, but there's that feel to it, right? This is like a 6-pointer for the top 6 for both of these teams. And it feels like, to me, this could be a really entertaining draw. I'm thinking like 3-3 or 2-2, something like that, down at Brighton, because they're so evenly matched. Play very differently. Obviously, Brighton love to spray it around, tweaked it a little bit under De Zerbi, but we know how good Brentford are being direct and set pieces. So a great clash of styles, but both teams are having incredible seasons. And I'm going to go for a scoring draw in that one. And Chelsea against Aston Villa. I think Chelsea just all in on the Champions League right now. So it's a little bit setting up for an Aston Villa. I don't know, I wouldn't call it an upset, because if we look at the table, obviously if Villa win this one, then they go above Chelsea. So, I really like what Unai Emery's doing. He's got the team playing exactly to their strengths, and compared to the sort of squad players that they have and the strengths those individuals have. So, I'm going for a Villa upset at Chelsea. And maybe it's not that much of an upset this season. In the future, it probably will be when Graham Potter figures it out. But, that's going to be intriguing to see if Villa can make that and continue that late surge for potential European qualification late in the season. What a job Unai Emery has done. Okay, relegation scrap, gentlemen. West Ham against Southampton. We have Nottingham Forest against Wolverhampton Wanderers. What a big game that is. Bournemouth against Fulham, and a Palace against Leicester. I mean, that's another huge game. 3 out of those 4 are massive relegation 6-pointers there. Nick Mendola, West Ham Saints. What are we thinking for that one? Because that is huge, as 2 teams in the bottom 3 square off in East London.
Why do you make you sad? Why? Because Joe, don't you? This is where you take it by the hands, so we don't get into. No, I actually think Saints have a really good chance to survive. I've been telling you all year, and Andy's been telling me right back. I say West Ham's too good to be here. They're too talented to be here, and they're going to get out of it. Andy says, you're right. Maybe they're too good to be here, and maybe they're too talented, but they're not definitely going to get out of it. I think this is one of those games they have to have, and I think they have it. And if they don't, could see something pretty big changing over there.
Yeah, David Moyes under pressure, Saints under pressure, but ahead of the international break, that draw against Tottenham, coming back from 3-1 down to draw 3-3 again. Sorry to mention it, Andy, but it felt like a win for Saints. So I feel like going into the break, probably the momentum that young team needed, and defensively they have got a lot better, which gives me hope for them. But West Ham, I can just kind of see Danny Ings maybe, if he's playing, just coming back to haunt Saints a little bit. So I'm going to go for a narrow West Ham win in that one. But you're right, it's so tight at the bottom that Saints, I still think, could get out of trouble. Forest against Wolves, Andy. 2 teams that have been streaky, right? And we thought Forest were going to be okay, then they slumped. We thought Wolves were going to be okay, and then similarly, they slumped in the last few weeks. But probably teams that have both been playing better than their results suggest in recent weeks. Is that fair to say?
No, sometimes for Forest. You say streaky, they had a good 3-week stretch in January. And aside from that, they've lost, 3/4 of the rest of their games this season. And so it's been, It was down, it was up for a little bit, and it's been a lot of down recently. They just don't create scoring chances. They just don't. Neither one of these teams do, by the way. 22 goals for both of them, tied for fewest in the Premier League this season. So if you're looking for a game to maybe say, no, that's an obvious 0-0 draw this weekend, then this might be the one. But I think Wolves can defend enough to keep themselves in the Premier League, and I just don't know that Forest have. Obviously not the experience of a relegation fight in the Premier League, but just the stomach for it, I guess, because they haven't been in that situation. And as things have gotten worse for them, they've not been able to stop that slide once again. And the last time they stopped the slide, they didn't really change anything to do it. It just felt like results and luck kind of turned for them. And if they're waiting for that to happen again at the end of the season, I don't know if it's going to happen. So I think it's a draw, leaning towards Wolves having the better of it.
That's fair enough. Bournemouth against Fulham is intriguing to me because I feel like obviously both teams just came up from the Championship. Fulham had a fantastic season. Bournemouth had some big wins, including that recent one against Liverpool. And this is a game they're looking at a calendar, right, and saying, Fulham at home, as good as they've been this season, this is one we have to win because Bournemouth have a lot of the big boys, obviously recently, need to find some momentum. I just think this kind of evens out, but Fulham's situation with the big players, obviously Willian, Mitrovic, what happened there in the FA Cup against Man United, got a potential there for this season to unravel pretty quickly for Marco Silva's side. But I think there's enough quality there. Paulinho obviously is exceptional in midfield. Defensively, the USMNT core and Bernd Leno have been good. I think I've got a draw for this one. I think Bournemouth will probably be stuck in a weird place where it's like, draw's probably a good result. Do we go for it? And Fulham could hurt them if they do. So I think Bournemouth against Fulham is going to end in a draw. And Palace against Leicester, finally. I think that's probably another game that's going to be a draw as well, right, Nick? Because both of these teams, we mentioned it about West Ham, both seem like, we're too good to go down. Our quality's there. But Brendan Rodgers probably just wants to go back to basics, try and get James Maddison the ball, create a few problems. And then Roy Hodgson coming in at Crystal Palace once again to try and save them after their slump, and that cost Patrick Vieira's job. That's an intriguing storyline there between these two teams between now and the end of the season, because Palace on paper, very easy remaining schedule, but we know it doesn't always work out like that in the relegation scrap.
Alarmingly easy schedule. I saw that graph that was going around. I don't know if you guys saw it. It explained everyone's run-in, and Crystal Palace's run-in is easier than by almost 2 times than anybody else. So I still think that was strange. We were sitting here 2 weeks ago, and weren't we kind of saying like, well, he'll definitely make it through the end of this season. Maybe next year is a real test to him, and he didn't. And even the way Steve Parish described it was surprising. So I'm wondering how the players react to that. Maybe they didn't like him as much as we thought they might have, but this is a real test of the character of the actual players on the field for Palace.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for a draw, and I think that will be a positive for Roy Hodgson and Palace. Leicester, obviously, it's just a weird team. I don't know what to think about Leicester all season long. Whenever you think they figured it out, they go on another spiral. So Brendan Rodgers will be hoping that as an upward spiral after this weekend.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.